Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings, cretins.
John.
And another fine show, right?
Yeah.
Well, it will be. And
yeah,
soon.
Time to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
Seem to just fly by.
They do, indeed.
Yeah. Speaking of flying by, you flew by, you got back from Brazil just recently, or?
Yeah. I was down in the city of Recife, Brazil, which is actually spelled Recife. And beautiful place near the equator, full of Zika mosquitoes. Although I can't say that I've noticed my head shrinking at all lately. But very nice place, modern, bustling city, good beer scene. Had some nice beers at both De Bruyne and Ikut breweries, as well as lots of homebrew at their Hoptoberfest festival. Yeah, great time down there.
Yeah, I one of these days I gotta make one of the trips down there.
Yeah, South America is just an amazing place. I mean, you have these notions of dugout canoes on the Amazon or alpacas or chasing ostriches on the Pampas or something, but very modern continent and countries. I mean, right. And the craft beer scene is really picking up. A lot of new breweries popping up all the time. Great brewers down there.
Yeah, the problem for me is my trips tend to be where we sell the most of our heritage beer. So. Because then I can justify it. I can tell my wife. I was like, it's to go.
It's a tax write-off.
Visit the market and work with the distributor and, visit some accounts.
And you'll be fine here at home, right?
Right. So that's how I justify my trips.
Yeah.
But, saw a whole lot in Brazil. Excuse me. I'm tired.
Selling.
Yeah. So
did you get up early and vote this morning?
I got up early and voted last week. Vote by mail. Oh, yeah.
Did we all make America great again?
Hopefully.
Hopefully all of our political candidates will find new depths of virtue to tap into in the coming months.
And hopefully all our listeners are exercising their right to vote. Right. Regardless of what country you're in or where you're at, the right to vote is absolutely critical to exercise that vote and be part of the overall solution. And,
use it or lose it.
Yeah. When we fail to vote, we end up failing to control our destiny and our political system. So make sure you vote, no matter who you're voting for. Just get your ass out there and vote. Who I probably vote for president? Our good buddy.
Our good friend John.
John Blickman.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a little bit of a nut job, but hey, what nut jobs are, that makes him perfect for political office.
That was
That's
my
called
write-in.
Thinking outside the box.
That was your write-in?
That was my write-in, yeah. John Blickman.
John Blickman, yeah. Porno Steve wrote in John Blickman. So there you go. John got at least one vote. No. All kidding aside, John Blickman's a great guy and very creative and passionate about making the best possible gear for home brewing. They've got their Blickman Engineering line, BlickmanEngineering.com, and then they got the Anchor Brewing or Anvil Brewing .com for a also real solidly built, but few less bells and whistles, just great basic brewing equipment at a more cost conscious price. So check both those out, BlickmanEngineering.com and AnvilBrewing.com, and see some of the great stuff that Blickman Engineering is putting out. And they also sponsor the show. So the least you could do is give them a nod and tell them how much you like that they sponsor the show. Yeah, today, this show, John from New York, he wrote in and he said, "Hi, Jamel and John. I just listened to the last Q&A show, and one of the questions had to do with resurrecting an old beer engine. I got to thinking about cask beer and how little I know about it. So what exactly is a beer engine? How do they work? What is the effect on beer compared to a traditional keg setup? Is it something worth trying on the homebrew level? I know they are traditionally used for UK beer styles, but you frequently have heretic beers on cask at the tasting room. How are hoppier American styles suited for cask? Thanks in advance, John." I think that's an excellent idea for a show.
Yeah.
I don't think John's the first to mention it, but it was the most recent email we got on doing a cask beer show. Cask beer is not only a method of serving, but it's also a method of preparing the beer. So there's a fair amount that goes into doing it really, truly traditional and correctly to make, like camera happy.
Mm-hmm. Can you do it halfway and still be cask, or is it all or nothing?
To them, it's all or nothing. But I think like anything, you get varying levels of return for what you're doing. If you go the whole hog and do it, traditionally, you get the best result. But I think you can capture some of the effects and beauty of cask beer taking some shortcuts too. So it's up to kind of the individual. Okay. I think you could start off doing something a little more basic and see if you enjoy that. And if you kind of get into it and think it's cool and want to do some more, well, then you can, take some further steps, and you really won't be losing what you started with. So we'll kind of walk you through that as well. I think, like any good brewer, your goal is to make the best beer possible, and I think that cask. If you really want to do it right, then it becomes quite a bit more involved. But again, you can do the basics. Mm-hmm. One thing to note, people are all excited about nitro beer too, and the nitrogenating beer was really just invented to kind of mimic cask beer, to cut out all those steps and to just lower carbonation level, some nitrogen to force it through at high pressure, and a little sparkler in the faucet, and then that's nitro beer. So that misses a lot of the things of cask. So nitro beer is one way to go about kind of simulating cask, and then there's some basic ways of doing cask that are, I think, easier than nitro, and capture at least most of what you get out of nitro beer. So
yeah. Now, are cask beers limited to English pale ales, or can you make almost any beer a cask beer?
Well, just like you could nitrogenate any beer, you could put any beer on cask. However, I'd be careful. I think the ones that do the best are, if you look at the English styles, traditional English styles, those are the ones that do best on cask. An ordinary bitter, a mild, some, maybe some brown ales, things like that. What we found for us is that a beer that finishes really dry and has a lot of hops, like Cousin, does not work well on cask.
Okay.
You can do it. I just don't think the results are very pleasing.
That matches what when I've talked with some cask breweries here in the LA area, like McLeod's. They've said that some of the hoppier styles need more carbonation to kind of firm up the bitterness. Can be a little bit flabby without it.
Yeah, I think you also need some body to the beer sometimes. I think it's so when you have a crisper, drier, like I wouldn't put a Pilsner on cask.
Okay.
If you can imagine a North German Pils on cask, it doesn't work. It's interesting that our Evil Twin, which is really hoppy, but it's got a lot of malt character too, and a lot of caramel malts, works beautifully on cask.
Oh.
So just along those lines.
That's interesting.
Our Robust Porter works great on cask. And then we do, a traditional English bitter. We do that on cask. We do a mild. We do that on cask. We do various flavored porters on cask. So all those seem to work fairly well, but not the thinner, drier, crisp types of styles. So, if you're looking for some cask gear, they may not have everything on cask, but they've got quite a bit of cask stuff. They even have small packets of whole leaf hops if you want to do some dry hopping in the cask. It's Williams Brewing. I don't know if you've ever checked out WilliamsBrewing.com, John, but I've bought from them in the past. They've been around since 1979. So when I started home brewing, they were already 20 years in business. And, you don't stay that long in business without having some customer service and knowledge of great ingredients and reasonable prices. So they've offered the finest equipment, freshest ingredients, and best customer service in the business since 1979. They've got a full line of inner-tap forward-sealing beer faucets, interchangeable spouts. They've got a new motorized grain mill kit that will spin your mill motor or your mill at the correct RPM without a bunch of belts. They've got the Mark II wort pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump. It starts at only $69.99, but does the job of pumps costing twice as much. And they got Brewer's Edge mini regulators. They've got Keg King kegs. They've got disconnects. They got all that stuff. And a bunch of stuff for cask as well. I bought some cask gear from them and cask items. So check them out, WilliamsBrewing.com. Let's take a short break. When we come back, let's get more into the equipment and such for cask beer right after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Hey guys, what'll it be?
I'm not sure. What do you recommend?
A lot of people seem to like the Hefeweizen.
Is that a German Hefeweizen or more of an American-style wheat beer?
I'm not sure, but I can give you a taste.
Okay, great.
The Cicerone Certification Program certifies and educates beer professionals in order to elevate the beer experience for consumers. Unfortunately, not every bar is staffed with certified beer servers who can guide their customers through a beer list.
Here you go, guys. Let me know what you think of the Hefeweizen.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely more of an American meat. But I can hardly tell because this beer just smells like sour butter. I wonder how long it's been since they cleaned the draft line.
Yeah, and look at the bubbles on the side of the glass. It's filthy.
Somebody should tell these guys about the Cicerone program.
For sure. How about we head somewhere else for another beer?
Your server should give beer the same respect you do. Request quality. The Cicerone Certification Program offers 4 levels of beer certification, in-person classes, and course books for beer professionals. Check them out at cicerone.org. The Cicerone Certification Program. We know beer. Grog tags aren't just for labeling your home brews to hand out to your friends. They're the perfect way to round out your personal brewing marketing. Bringing your latest beer to a funeral? Craft a metal sign to go with it. Heading out to little Liam's bar mitzvah? Grog Tag custom bottle caps are awesome. Couldn't get out of jury duty this year? Grog Tag the hell out of the deliberation room with reusable labels. Grog Tag has an awesome array of products just waiting to be customized by you. Metal signs, coasters, tasting mats, bottle caps, tap handles. It's all there waiting for your designs at Grog Tag. Liven up your next party with the widest selection of custom products ever offered by a sponsor of the Brewing Network. Grog Tag. At least your beer will look good.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're back. During the break, we were talking about dirty beer glasses. I have the ultimate photo of a dirty beer glass.
That's the worst I've ever
That's
seen.
offensive.
Yeah, isn't that bad? It was absolutely nasty. Nasty. I'll tell you what isn't nasty. The Craft Brew guys have come out with a compact conical fermenter called the Catalyst. It's made from plastic that's over 90% less or more scratch resistant, less likely to scratch than other plastic conicals, and 71% less oxygen permeable. Low profile stand. You can put this thing in your fermentation fridge. You put it on your counter. It doesn't weigh a whole lot either, which makes it nice because easier to move around. And cleaning's a breeze because the entire lid comes off, so you can reach right down in that bad boy, no matter what size of your arms, and get at those little crusties and clean the dang thing
nasty.
up. Less nasty. It's 90% less nasty.
Yes.
And the best part is they've got a giant 3-inch butterfly valve at the bottom, and you can attach any size mason jar to that and take a dump of your yeast into your mason jar, and you can take that dump and you put it in the fridge, and you can use that dump for your next batch of beer. So I think that's pretty cool. You can learn more at craftabrew.com today. All right, let's see here. We're talking cask beer and the things that make up cask beer. So cask beer in itself is a way of conditioning beer. You put it into a vessel, usually a cask keg that's comes in various sizes, the most common sizes being the pin, which is 5.4 U.S. gallons, or the firkin, which is 10.8 U.S. gallons.
And these tend to be kind of a more rotund keg.
Yeah, kind of they're bulbous on the sides, kind of regular keg, and they kind of extend out. So you need a little rack to put these in. And usually the rack kind of tilts down in the front, so there's two openings on the cask. One is on the top where this bung goes in, and you're able to pierce it with spile, a hard spile or a soft spile. Hard spile kind of seals it off. Soft spile lets it breathe a little bit. In the front, there's another opening where you can hammer in whatever your tapping equipment is. You can put in just a gravity flow tap, hammer that in. It knocks the plastic or wood one out of the way and seals up the cask that way. And then you can put it on a countertop or something like that with it slightly tilted forward in a little rack. And you open up the faucet, and the beer comes out into your glass like that. That's cask beer. They do. This is the way that beer had been served for many centuries. And as a matter of fact, you go to like Dusseldorf, and you go to the alt breweries there. They have wooden barrels of beer. They put them up on the counter. They tap them, and then they just gravity feed them into glasses, and that's it. That's their beer service.
Now, those beer, cask beer and the Dusseldorf Alt are all lightly carbonated too, as well, right?
Yeah, fairly reduced carbonation. Alt beer tends to be a little bit more, I think. So with British cask ale, this would be all you'd need, and you could, do it that way. Before you serve that kind of cask, or before you serve any cask, when you're using these traditional cask containers, a firkin, a pin, whatever, in the top bung, you're going to there's a little spot in the center where you can hammer through, like I said, the hard spile, or you can hammer through a soft spile. So to start out, you hammer in the soft spile, and that allows any excess carbonation to come out. So you've naturally carbonated in the cask, and then you
by adding priming sugar.
By adding priming sugar, you wait a few days. The yeast ferment that, the yeast settle out, and then you hammer in the soft spile to kind of let any excess carbon dioxide kind of leave the cask. You want it down to 1 to 1.5 volumes. I tend to shoot for about 1 1/4 to 1.5. Okay. You could go up a little bit higher, but it starts becoming a little messy, I think, and it can be a little too much. So that's one way to do it. Now, so along these lines, if somebody was to use priming sugar to carbonate a beer in a keg, a regular Cornelius keg, that in itself is very similar to cask. Mm-hmm. So you could do that. The shape is different. There's the serving's a little different. You could do your priming sugar, put the cask, the corny keg on its side, and then where the gas in is, you could
attach a breather.
Right. You could attach a breather to there, or to the dip tube, and pour out of the gas in. If you tilt the keg a little bit, and then you could put on one of those faucet coupling pieces, and do it that way. And that's a bit of an approximation. One of the reasons that they insist upon using the spile and all that, and opening the beer to the atmosphere, is that the different atmosphere in different pubs or places, it affects kind of the flavor of the beer. The beer actually stales a little bit over the course of a couple of days, and you get a little bit of that character in there, and kind of the terroir of the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons that they do that. They kind of take in air, but it requires you to use up the entire
cask
within a couple of days.
Yeah, that's probably worth mentioning again. Is that cask beer is not exactly gravity served, but they are at low carbonation. Mm-hmm. Partially open to the atmosphere, and not really forced out of the keg into your glass. Right. And very, very often, we'll get into beer engines in a minute, they're actually pumped out of the keg to your glass. But as you say, that open to the atmosphere, drawing, the soft spile allows a little bit more atmosphere into the keg. That soft amount of staline or oxidation, adds some character to the beer. So
where was I? You could do that in a regular keg. If you were to want to do a beer engine is essentially a pump. Is a pump that will, draw liquid up from essentially whatever distance. It's got flappers on the beer engine, so even if the line is empty, you can pump air and it'll draw the beer up to the beer engine. So when the casks were traditionally in the cellar and the pub bar was above it, they would draw it up from the cellar using a beer engine. So it's kind of like a marine bilge pump, a manual bilge pump in that respect. It'll draw water up from a distance. So I've seen people use marine bilge pumps to simulate cask beer engines. So instead of gravity serving, you can hook this up to a beer engine and you can pump the beer into the glass that way. You can do this also with keg beer or beer in a Cornelius keg. As John was mentioning, the important thing is not to push it with CO2. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons that you hammer in the soft spile to let the cask breathe first is that if the cask is pressurized beyond a certain minimal amount, the beer will actually just travel right up the tube out the beer engine. There's nothing to stop beer from going out the beer engine. It is kind of one-way flappers that carbonated beer just pushes its way out. So you will have just beer shooting out the beer engine if you hook up fully carbonated beer. It's got to be less carbonation than the amount of rise that you're doing or the restriction in the hose. And generally, it's a very large diameter hose that you use on the beer engine. It's not a very long run. At Heretic, we're doing them in a kind of a kegerator that we are able to keep at 50 degrees. And so the beer engine's only drawing, a couple of feet of head to keep the CO2, from squirting out the end.
Mm-hmm. So you're not using the usual, 3/16, 5/16 beer line?
No. So on this, it's a half inch. Most of the cask beer supplies are half inch. I take a half inch line. Mm-hmm. And a good place to find a lot of the cask things you need. A lot of brew shops and stuff will carry most of the consumable supplies, like spiles and bungs and things like that. But if you want to get a beer engine, not too many people sell them. UK Brewing Supplies, or what's the name? Yeah, UK Brewing Supplies.
UK Brewing Supplies of Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's where just about everybody gets their stuff now because that guy gets in shipments of all the cask supplies, and he's got quite a few things. We actually shifted over to using a widge, which is you turn the cask on its end, which is how we let them condition anyways. And you just, instead of going in through you still go through the same opening, but it actually has a little float that keeps it drawing just below the surface. And it's got
a widge
multiple...
is a different kind of cask, or a widge is a different kind of...
It's a serving thing. So you hammer it in instead of also putting in a soft spile into the bung on the top, or in the rounded barrel side of the cask. This has a place for a soft spile in the widge. So you only have to penetrate the cask once. And then there's a thing to turn on and off the soft spile. So instead of switching over to a hard spile for storage, let's say you serve a little bit and then you want to save the carbonation that's in there for the rest, you take out the soft spile, you hammer in a hard spile to kind of seal it off. That's how you would do with a natural cask. On the widge, you've got your soft spile in there, and you could swap it out with a hard spile if you wanted, but it's also got a little valve. You can just turn it off. And essentially, that's hard spile.
Okay,
and,
so
it's a fantastic little device. It's not cheap, but man, if you're doing cask beer on a regular basis, it's just absolutely wonderful.
So you would recommend it to people that otherwise prefer double penetration?
Yes. No need for double penetration with this. If you enjoy double penetration, then I urge you to keep going with that. But stick your hard spile in there, if that makes you happy. The other thing about doing the widge was it allowed us to keep the cask on end and put it in what I said was a modified kegerator. They have what they call cascarators, where the beer engine mounts on top, and the kegerator, it's able to dial into 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Has a range of like 32 to 50. So we're able to keep our cask beer at 50. And it's fantastic. I love it. So it's still all very traditional cask. It's just made super easy by spending another $1,000.
More convenience for your money.
Yeah, and when we were doing cask to start, we would just we keep it in the fridge and it's 38 degrees. We'd bring it out, let it warm up a little bit, start serving it, and then by the end of the day, it would be probably closer to 60 degrees, and it'd just be too warm. They have blankets, they have chillers. You could put an ice blanket on it, stuff like that. But the problem with all of those is it's very hard to control the temperature accurately. You're kind of around. What you want is cellar temperature. So, traditionally you'd have a cellar, and that's where it would be around 50 degrees all the time, or 45 to 50 degrees. And that's where you put all your casks, and you draw up to the bar from there, and that would keep your temperature. Well, if you don't have that, especially out here in California, that's why I use the cascarator. So that's one of the options as well. Have you, John? Have you used the new Brew Guru app from the AHA?
Yes, I have.
I'll tell you, I think it's a fantastic app. It actually shows you where all the homebrew shops and brew pubs and all that are around you, and it even shows which ones have the AHA member discount. So
that's very
right
handy.
off the bat, that saves you money. And it's got lots of great articles and things that are hand picked to you can read on your phone and or whatever wherever you're using the app. And I think it's pretty neat. You can get this at any of your usual places where you get your apps, your app store, your Play Store, your local street corner, wherever you get apps. Some your kindergarten age children will be able to point you towards where you get this thing, and it's free. And it's you can try it out for free, and then if you're a member, it's got all those resources unlocked for you all the time. And everybody should be an AHA member. I'll tell you the one thing that I think it needs is to tell you where you can find real ale on cask in the United States.
Oh, no, that would be nice.
I mean, they have it for, the UK, but not in the U.S. I mean, maybe somebody's got it. I don't know. But I think that would be absolutely cool because I love me some good real ale.
That's true, yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Take another short break, and when we come back, more of Cask beer after this.
If you work in retail sales, the restaurant industry, or are a new craft beer enthusiast, or you know someone who is, you have got to check out Beer 101. Beer 101 is an online course created for anyone wanting a quick introduction to the vast world of craft beer. Beer 101 covers the history of beer, brewing ingredients and processes, vital stats like ABV, SRM, IBU, and gravity, styles, tasting, glassware, and pairing beer with food. The Beer 101 course is offered by the Brewers Association at craftbeer.com. Also home to the truly awesome Beer Style Finder, a visual guide to every beer style. Quickly play with color, bitterness, and alcohol content to interactively explore the entire world of beer styles with a gorgeously designed interface to your favorite beverage. The new Beer 101 course and new Beer Style Finder are only available at craftbeer.com. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer. Hey there, BN Army. Have you heard the latest at Hop Tech? Since Hop Tech has doubled in size after a huge expansion, Jade and Roberto can stock even more of the best quality homebrewing supplies and equipment. Over 60 kick-ass varieties of hops and malts, monster truckloads of quality brewer's yeast, including White Labs, Y-yeast, and multiple dry yeasts. They even have all grain systems from Grainfathers and Ruby Street Brew Systems, thanks to Jade, the brand new all-grain brewer. And don't forget about their 10% discount to all BN Army members. Jade and Roberto are waiting for you and all of your brewing questions over at hoptech.com. Hoptech, totally not sucking since 1983.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zainasheff, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. Speaking of good friends, did you know Nico Brew is kind of back? I guess he didn't go anywhere, did he?
No, I don't think so, but he certainly is a good friend. Yes.
No, they have the hops you're looking for, from your standard recipe staples to those hard-to-find ones. After 7 years, they're still offering their famous $5 shipping. And with their super fast turnaround, you're going to be brewing in no time. All their hops are nitrogen flush, vacuum sealed in Mylar packaging. Make sure you get the freshest hops available. They even have commercial accounts available for pro brewers and homebrew shops. Coming soon, the complete line of pro brewing equipment, custom built fermenters, brew houses, you name it. They're getting into the equipment business. Check out the new Nico Brew swag, like onesies, tees for toddlers, and even something for you grown-ups out there.
The Mankini. Excellent.
The Mankini, finally, with the pair of hop cones on it, will be out soon. Head over to nicobrew.com today for all of your hop and Mankini needs. All right, so let's see.
Talking about beer engines.
Right, beer engines and
making keg work.
Right, you could hook a beer engine up to a keg, a corny keg, of course, and see if that can work for you. The issue is really not a whole lot of an issue. You need to put a breather on it. The surface area is a little bit different, so you may not get quite the oxidation as quickly. So maybe that actually will, allow it to stretch out over time. And you could serve this vertically because you'd hook up to the dip tube. Some people cut the dip tube short just for the yeast that settles out after conditioning in the keg. But you could just pull through that first bit. One of the things that some people do that's kind of frowned upon is cask breathers. So you're not supposed to push the beer with CO2 because then more CO2 dissolves in it, changes the flavor. But there's this thing called the cask breather, which it hooks up CO2 to the keg and to the cask and keeps it at 1 psi. So it's such a low pressure that it does not add any significant amount of carbonation to the beer. One of the important things about cask beer is that it be, cask conditioned, carbonation developed in the cask. So, you can hook that up. Again, I think they sell for about $60, $70. You hook up your CO2 tank, and that prevents oxygen really from oxidizing. It's a method of making the keg or the cask last longer. So not really necessary. And let's talk a little bit about cask conditioning itself. So some breweries will take beer that is, mostly fermented. They take it at a certain stage in the process, and then they will add finings. They will add some priming sugar, any sort of dry hop that they want to add, and then they'll bung it up in the cask and then let it sit for a while, and it'll develop the carbonation needed. The yeast will settle out, and then it's ready to go.
What sugars do they usually use for priming?
I've heard of all sorts of different things, but what we use is dextrose, corn sugar.
Okay.
You could use table sugar. You could use honey. You could use molasses. You could use whatever you want, as long as it's got the sugars to, provide enough material for the yeast to provide the right carbonation levels. And
I should point out that in the next edition of How to Brew, due to be released next year, I do break down priming sugars into equivalent amounts.
Great.
For you.
Which priming sugars do you cover?
Well, I covered all the ones that you just mentioned, the honey, table sugar, dextrose or corn sugar, molasses, dry malt extract, liquid malt extract.
You could use invert sugar.
Yeah. Anytime you know the composition of the sugar, whether it's monosaccharide, disaccharide like sucrose, or trisaccharide, maltotriose, like is the case in malt extract. There's different amounts of gas that each of those sugars, generate. I mean, that the yeast generate from those sugars, and so In this next edition, I break that down and multiply it out so that you know more accurately how many volumes of CO2 each amount of sugar will give. So
great.
Just a shameless plug for next year.
Right. Well, and I think this is an interesting place to use molasses, just because if a lot of the flavor of the molasses is going to remain.
Yeah.
In the beer, because it's right in fermentation, at the end of fermentation. So you add your materials, you let this thing sit for as long as you would bottles to carbonate up, and then you move it over to where you're going to serve it. One of the things about moving it, and you're going to shake up the yeast if you're not careful, but you put it in the rack, and then you let it sit for a little bit, for a day or so. Then you hammer in the soft spile, and the soft spile goes in to, again, relieve any excess pressure that may have built up, get the thing kind of in proper condition to serve. Then you can hammer in your tap, your cask tap, and that would hook up direct to your beer engine, or again, there are ones that gravity feed, and then that's about it. You pull a pint through, and you're good to go. What haven't I mentioned? I mean, this was kind of last minute. We threw this together, so I did not really.
Yeah, no.
Did not really cover
look at John's email again. That'll clue you.
Well, he was asking about what is a beer engine? How do they work? There's a cylinder inside. Generally a glass cylinder, and
it's kind of like an old-time water pump. I mean, you pump the handle,
and it's got little flapper valves on the bottom and on the top. So when you pull the handle down, it forces the beer through the little cylinder, and then it's got a piston in it, and then when you go back up, it resets and does it again.
And so the difference between this and normally, I mean, carbonation is, instead of carbonation pushing a beer through, is it pulling through use of negative vacuum?
Right. So when you're pumping a cask beer through a beer engine, it comes out into, so if you don't use a sparkler or something like that, it's very similar to gravity-fed cask. That's why you can do gravity-feed cask. You can tap in your tap into the cask, open the valve, and let it pour into a glass. That's essentially the same thing but without the beer engine. Now, on the beer engine, it actually has the option of putting a sparkler on there, which is and they come in different sizes, different diameter holes, number of holes, things like that. And there's constant debate as to whether you use a sparkler or not.
But just to agitate it a
bit? To break out the CO2 and to cause more head.
Give it a little,
Right. And the proper way to use a beer engine, I like the sparkler. I'm a sparkler man. Some people are not. But you put the sparkler on because it knocks out more of the CO2. I don't like a lot of CO2. It gives it a nice creamy head. It looks like a nitrogenated beer being poured. When the proper way to use a beer engine, they've got these long, curved spouts on them that go up and then back down. And what that allows you to do is to put the end of the beer engine, where the beer comes out, all the way in the bottom of the glass. So even when you're not using a sparkler, you put it at the bottom of the glass and kind of squirt it out through there, and it squirts out between the glass bottom and the end of the beer engine, and again causes some breakout of CO2 to provide head and all that stuff. So you do that all the way until the thing is full, and then you set the glass down, and a little more beer drips in there, or you can top it up a little bit from there. But it's always pumped with the glass all the way up, with the end of the beer engine all the way into the bottom of the glass. Sometimes people try and pour it like regular beer. They angle it on the side and the top of the glass. That's not what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You got to disturb the beer. You got to pour it with some vigor.
Yeah.
And a sparkler helps with that as well if you're trying to stir it up. He also said, how do they work? What's the effect on the beer compared to a traditional keg setup?
It makes it softer, and because it's softer, it tastes a little bit sweeter, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It changes the mouthfeel of the beer quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Sweeter, more malty. The malt tends to come out a little bit more. So for hoppy beers, may or may not be what you're looking for. The lower carbonation I really enjoy. The process of the cask conditioning, especially if you get a green beer into the cask. Sometimes you can get a little more diacetyl. You can get a little more of some of these characteristics when you trap that into the cask early instead of letting the beer finish out fully in the fermenter first. That's another thing about it that's a little more common in British beers. I actually enjoy that. Some people don't.
That touch of diacetyl, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just depends on what you like.
Yeah.
When you were over in England last time, John, did you have a chance to stop by and get some cask beer somewhere?
I did. I had some at Fuller's, and I had some at a pub right down the street from on Baker Street,
mm-hmm.
next to the Sherlock Holmes Museum,
mm-hmm.
and I had a couple of nice beers there. I was able to sample many in several different pubs. My only disappointment was that the beers often had Cascade hops instead of East Kent Goldings. So it was kind of
there's going to be a lot of modernization on the beers that you find in London now, and I hope it doesn't squeeze out good traditional ales.
Globalization.
It's not. I don't go over to the UK to drink an American IPA. I go over there to drink great British beer. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one of the most important things about brewing cask beer, because they're all, it's about flavor in a small beer generally.
Yeah.
And if you want to brew great traditional British cask ale, I would urge you to check out the Vault at White Labs. So White Labs has a lot of great yeast to start, but this Vault program that they're doing, if you go to whitelabs.com/the Vault, what they do out of the many thousands of yeast that they've collected over the last 20 years, you never see but a fraction of them offered up. What they're doing is they're going to pick a set out of their Vault and offer them up to people to kind of pre-order. And what you do is you kind of vote and say, yeah, that's the one that I want. I want this one. And if enough people vote for that, then they'll go ahead and make up a batch and you get your yeast. If not, then, you should have figured out which one to vote for. But if you've got a homebrew club, you all want to get together and say, hey, we're all going to brew, this style for this month. Go to the Vault, get everybody to vote on one, and you can pick out maybe some great British cask yeast that nobody gets to try. And right. It's not just the one batch thing either. If you try it and you think it's fantastic, enough people try it and think it's absolutely fantastic, maybe become one of their permanent lineup. You can affect what White Labs has available for consumers going forward through participating in this program. So I think it's quite cool. I like it. Of course, I like the White Labs people. They're pretty cool and awesome too. So check it out.
That brings up a good question. The choice of yeast strain for cask beer. Mm-hmm. I mean, can you use any ale strain, or is it?
Well, yeah, you could technically use any ale strain. I would. Traditionally, what you want is something that flocculates extremely well. Yeah. So it lays to the bottom of the cask and doesn't end up mixing in with the beer all the time and getting, cloudy, murky beer.
Okay.
You want it to settle out nice and clear and brilliant. So that's why the finings and most English yeasts do flocculate really well. That's why they rise to the top, because they form lots of clumps, and then the CO2 carries them up, and they get to the surface. But that same action will cause them to sink in a nice tight mass at the bottom. So that's why people tend to use the British ale yeast. Let's take one more break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up about cask beer right after this.
Brewing great beer is a process of continuous learning, and the best books on every aspect of brewing can be found at Brewers Publications, with more than 50 awesome titles like Modern Homebrew Recipes by Gordon Strong, Designing Great Beers, the Ultimate Guide to Brewing Classic Beer Styles by Ray Daniels, American Sour Beers, Innovative Techniques for Mixed Fermentations by Michael Tonsmeyer, For the Love of Hops, The Practical Guide to Aroma, Bitterness, and the Culture of Hops by Stan Hieronymus, and Radical Brewing, Recipes, Tales, and World-Altering Meditations in a Glass by Randy Mosher, plus many, many more. These are the books and the authors with the knowledge to push your brewing farther than you thought possible. And you'll find them all at fine homebrew and book retailers everywhere. And visit the website at brewerspublications.com. Brewers Publications, all the best on beer and brewing. Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out, or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
The Vault, created by White Labs. The Vault is a collection of new, creative, and unique yeast strains from around the world. These strains have never been available to homebrewers. Most have not even been available to professionals. You have the power to release the yeast. Through The Vault, White Labs is giving you the power to decide which strains are put into production and giving you the opportunity to brew with these strains. Visit whitelabs.com/The Vault and pre-order the yeast strain of your choice and encourage your friends to do the same. Once 250 pre-orders have been achieved, White Labs will put that strain into production. The strain will be mailed directly to your doorstep, ready to make the beer you've always wanted to brew. This program was created with the homebrewer in mind. White Labs is relying on you to help release these strains, which may blaze the way for future new and unique beers. Help release the yeast. Visit whitelabs.com/The Vault.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. John?
Yes?
Are you getting enough? You getting what you need?
Yes, I believe so.
Well,
but perhaps
you're
I could
missing
do some more.
Perhaps you get some more. You know what you could do? You go to adamandeve.com, select just about any one item. Could be adventurous new toy, sexy piece of lingerie, the mankini, anything you desire.
Pop-up book?
Pop-up book, yeah, right. Pop-up book with a little hole in the middle. You could use the offer code Jamel. And you're going to get 50% off of that at one item. You're going to get 3 free adult DVDs of your choosing. You're going to get a free Power O vibrating ring and free shipping. All for using the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at adamandeve.com. So check them out. nice, fun, healthy way to enjoy yourself. And by yourself or with your partner of choice, as long as they're a consenting adult, I got no problem with it. There you go, AdamandEve.com. Check them out. All right, let's wrap up this Cask Beer show.
Okay.
What are the final thoughts? What have I not covered? What are you confused about on Cask Beer, Steve?
Well, there's the sign of confusion.
Troubleshooting.
Oh,
a beer machine.
Yeah, there you
Things
go.
that could go wrong.
Right. If
things you might have to replace after a million pumps.
Sure. They have rebuild kits for
Drink
the
a lot of beer. You never know.
It's funny you say a million pumps. Like an Angram beer engine is built to do 1 million pumps, and that's a lot of beer.
1 million pumps, Bevo. Just like that.
Bevo, you are disgusting. You are so crude.
You made that gesture with your hand. I sat here and watched you.
I was saying, for example, I was not saying, I was not doing this. I did this.
The delicate maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is a delicate maneuver.
I prefer a delicate pump.
Stop talking.
No, they're designed to do 1 million pumps of beer. And the beer engines come in different sizes. There's like quarter pint, half pint. I don't think there's full pint. I think there's quarters and halves. There might be a couple of different sizes. Thirds. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But what that means is for every pump of the beer engine, it will put, a quarter pint in your glass or a half pint in your glass. So if you're a high volume place, you're going to want to get like a half pint one. So with 2 pumps, you can fill up a pint to somebody. If you're home brewing and your consumption is smaller, and you get kind of a kick out of using the beer engine, you can get a quarter pint. So you get 4 strokes per glass.
Nice.
More strokes per glass can be more enjoyable for people, right, Bimo?
And you notice I haven't said anything about tipping your rack forward.
Right. And so, they have rebuild kits for that. One of the other reasons that you might go with a smaller cylinder is that there's less beer sitting in the cylinder, getting warm before you pump the cask again, or the beer engine again. So that's another reason for going with a smaller cylinder. What else was I going to say about that? Again, you can get replacement parts. And what else? Troubleshooting. Oh, yeah, too much carbonation. Yeah. If the beer's just coming through the beer engine by itself, you've got too much carbonation in there. You need to put in a soft spile, let the thing breathe for a little bit, or hook up some sort of breathing apparatus to let the excess CO2 leave.
What if you need more than 4 strokes to get
a full glass?
A full glass. You just need to pump it a lot.
Well, I think
Thank you for joining in on another excellent episode of Brewing Strong.
This is a real question.
I think, and I've seen this problem before, where you're pumping like a madman, and you're really not getting anything shooting out the end of the engine.
The sparkler, yeah.
Your sparkler.
If you have a sparkler.
Right.
Some people have sparklers, some don't.
Some people like a sparkler, some people don't. And what can happen is one of the little valves in the cylinder is not completely sealing, and so you're getting some loss of it's just running back down into the cask, and that's just a sign that you need to do a rebuild. They're fairly simple. You can take them apart. It's like 4 bolts that hold the whole kind of cage together, and then the little parts inside come apart pretty easy. It's glass, so just make sure you don't crack that glass cylinder. There's replacements for them. You can get all the replacement parts on ukbrewing.com.
Now, when you say glass, do you mean like clear glass or fiberglass?
Clear glass, like glass, like window glass in a cylinder. And it's fairly thin and delicate. But you can get that. So if you find a beer engine at like a flea market or something like that, even if it's basically all seems intact and like every piece is there, go ahead and get it. You could get other pieces. You can fix it and repair these things. These things are designed to last for forever.
Decades,
yeah. And chances are it'll work just fine when you hook it up. You just hook it up to water, a bucket of water, and run it through. That's another thing. Okay, two things to talk about. One is there are refrigerated cylinders. So if you do have, you want the beer is sitting in there and you want it to not get warm, there's little glycol jackets that go in the refrigerated cylinders. There's an in and an out on the jacket. You don't have to hook those up. So if you get it, it's nice. If not, doesn't really matter. You don't have to hook it up or not. And then, I can't remember what I was going to say 2 seconds after I said it. So there's that. And then, I don't know.
Maintenance.
Oh, yeah.
You have to clean them.
Cleaning, yes. So for cleaning, you just disconnect the cask from your tap, your beer engine from your tap, and then you can pump the rest of the beer out into a glass and drink it or whatever, throw it away. Then the end that hooks up to the tap, you just drop that into a bucket of like PBW solution, and warm PBW. You pump that through, and you can pump right back into the bucket, out of the bucket and back into the bucket. So just recirculate it, let it sit for a little bit, pump it again, and then you can run clean water through it, and just keep doing that until it's nice and clean, and there's no taste or slickness to the water. And you're pretty much done. You could run sanitizer through it if you want. I'd be careful about doing too much of that. You don't want to leave it filled with sanitizer and rot your seals or anything. So just clean water, and then take the tubing out of the bucket and just pump it until all the water's gone and is drained out. And then it's good to sit until the next time you need it. If you want, when you hook it up again, you could run some sanitizer through it before you run the beer through it, but generally I don't think it's necessary. If you keep it clean, you run clean beer through it, it's going to be just fine.
Pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool. Anything else? All right. Good show. Hopefully I covered everything. Normally I like to write these things down, but
we're professionals. We wing it.
Yeah. Professionals wing it. That's what professionals do.
That was being facetious, yes.
No. That's right. If you listen live, stay tuned. We got a live Q&A show coming up next, and lots of fun questions that you guys have sent in to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com. Try and get to every question, and eventually we will. We just have to answer them faster than you guys send them in. And we're getting there. All right. Till then, everybody, make sure you keep supporting all our fine sponsors like Blickman Engineering. Check out the Brewing Network store, thebrewingnetwork.com/store. There's all sorts of goodies in there. There are hats and hoodies and glassware and growlers, all sorts of good stuff. All, when you buy it, goes to the bottom line of the Brewing Network and helps support shows like this.
And what was the name of that website?
Thebrewingnetwork.com/store.
No, not that one. The
UK
one
Brewing Supplies.
That one.
There you go. All right. Till then, everybody, brew strong.
Brew strong, everyone.